Hello, so welcome to my YouTube channel, guys. So today we solve the problem of opposite sign pair reduction. In this problem, we understand the problem first. The problem says that given an array, return the final array by repeatedly apply the following operations from left to right until no more valid operations can be performed. Means we just have to apply the uh, that means we just have to apply the operations from left to right until no more valid operations can be performed. I'll explain further. If two adjacent elements have opposite sign, opposite means positive and negative. If their absolute values are different, remove both element and insert the one of the greater value absolute value, preserving its sign. If their absolute values are equal, remove both elements without interacting with new element. Right. Now, I will explain the problem. The problem is you are given an array integer, like you have an array of an integer. You need to repeatedly check adjacent element left to right. Check from left to right. Right. Uh, if two adjacent element have opposite sign, different absolute value, keep the one with greater absolute value. Keep the, like here, one is 10 positive, 0 is positive, 1 is negative. What is the greater value of absolute greater value? 10. Replace with 10. Correct? And same absolute value, remove both. Same absolute value, remove both. Correct? Now, continuous until no more operations are possible. Correct? Now, this problem is similar to collision, fight, cancel problem, like asteroid collision. इसमें क्या हो रहा है? Elements interact only with adjacent one. This will interact with only adjacent ones. Result depends on magnitude. Results depends on magnitude, absolute values. After removal, new neighbors interact again. After removal, new neighbors interact again. Example, this one. Right. Now, I will explain this with the one approach. Like we have 10 versus this. I just take this example, right? Now, versus minus 5. So what is the value? 10. Why 10? 10 wins. Why 10 wins? Because of 10 and 5 and 10 and minus 5, but I will take the absolute value. So which is the so what is the possible value? 10. So I will so there is win the 10. Then these two are complete. So now write minus 8 and minus 8 and 2 and minus 5. Correct? Now what is the 10 versus minus 8? Which one win? 10 win. Right? Now 10 2 and minus 5. Right? Now again there is 10 versus, no, there is no need to 10. Why? This is the positive. If there is a alternative, that means positive and negative, then we can do. So there is a positive. So here what we can do? 2 versus minus 5, which is possible. So minus 5. Why? I will take the only for absolute value. So wins this one. Now 10 and minus 5. Right? Now the last one, 10 versus minus 5. So which one win? 10 win. Right? So there is 10. So final answer is 10. This is the answer and this is the driver. Right? So after every operation, new adjacent pair forms So simple, one pass is not enough. Like I will explain you the brute force approach. What is the brute force approach says? Keep scanning array. I scan the whole array, right? And then apply operations, repeat until no changes, until no changes. Steps, what is the steps? Loop over array, if possible signs, process, modify array, restart. Like loop over array, if possible sign, process, and then modify the array, modify the I just modify this array, right? And then restart. Same thing, do and do and do and do and do and do, right? Now I just write the code. Bool changed is equal to true. Now while, जब तक ये चेंज नहीं हो, राइट, वेक्टर इंट फर्स्ट क्या होगा यहाँ पे, चेंजेस इज इक्वल टू फॉल्स. जब चेंजेस जब फॉल्स हो तभी करो ऐसा. वेक्टर इंट temp to store the data. Now for int I is equal to 0, I greater than is equal to array dot size and I plus plus, right? Now if temp dot empty, if our data is totally empty, and with that temp dot back multiply of array of I greater than is equal to 0. Now int a is equal to temp dot back, and then int b is equal to array of I and temp dot pop back of this if abs a abs b, then temp dot push back of a, else if abs of a and abs of b. Now temp dot push back of b. Now equal is nothing, here is equal nothing, so changes is equal to true, else temp dot push back of array of I, right? And then array is equal to temp, and at the end return array, this one. Now I just have to comment it out, and now run. It will run or not, see the problem. Yeah, it will run and submit it. Then yeah, it will show the TSE possible. This did not correctly the multiple test cases. Okay. So firstly we understand the code, right? What is the code? Firstly we take the changes. Why? If we get the change, like if we need to change, then we just have to put false and then change structure int temp. Now start the loop from the array to the dot size, and then if temp is if the temp is empty, and then temp dot back multiplications of array of I greater than of 0, then int a is equal to temp dot back and b is equal to array of I and temp dot pop back. Then if abs a then is equal to abs b, then temp dot push back a, and then else if abs a greater than or equal to abs b and temp dot push back of b, right? Change is equal to true. Now else temp dot push back of array of I and this array of temp, yeah, that is the fine. Now I just come on the So in that there is a time complexity of order of n square that is used, and because we may scan array many times, so for that reason. Now what is the better approach? So better approach is single pass simultaneous. Use the result array, try to resolve conflict immediately. Still tricky because chain reaction happen. That is also the very tricky because there is a chain what the chain reaction happen. So uh, so I just come on the optimal approach using stack, using the stack based. So basically this is the problem of the stack based. How? I explain you how. uh, Stack keep track of previous element. What we need always to track of the previous element, easily compare with current element. Like this is the 10 and this is the 5, I will just compare. Handle chain reaction naturally, right? Yes. What the algorithm says, for each element, while stack not empty, top and current have opposite sign, yes, and the resolve conflicts, correct? This is the very initial, like stack not empty, and then top and current have opposite sign and resolve conflict, got it? Now compare. Top less than equal to current, current dices. Top greater than equal to current, pop back, pop top and continue. Equal, pop top, don't push current. If current survive, push to stack, right? I will write the also compare logic is so no, compare. So top and current is equal to current dies, right? Now top and current, so here we can do like pop top and continue. Now equal pop top, don't push current, right? Now 3, if current survives, push to stack, right? Now I just write the very optimal approach here, right? So the optimal approach is always to the vector. First thing is I just take the stack, right? So vector int st as a vector. Now for auto of x of array, and then bool alive is equal to true, correct? Now while st dot empty, and with that st dot back multiplications of x greater than of 0. So int top is equal to st dot back if abs top abs of x alive is equal to false and break. Else if absolute of top greater than of absolute of x value, so st dot pop back of this, and then else st dot pop back, and then alive is equal to false and break. Now simple, if alive st dot whose back of x and then return st. So here just comment it out and then see it will run or not or show some error. I think there is no any error and it will pass. Yeah, it will pass all the test cases. So in that problem you can see I can use the stack, right? In that stack I just compare with the top element, like this is the first element. I just check from the second element, and if the second element absolute value is greater than value, then I just change this from this to this. So that is the problem and that is the solutions, right? So in that the time complexity is order of n. Here uh, the time is order of n and a space is order of n, right? Now each element is pushed and popped at most once, right? Now this problem is similar to collisions problem, like asteroid collision, since element only interact with adjacent element and can cause chain reaction. I use stack. For each element I compare with the top of the stack. If they have opposite sign, I resolve based on absolute values. If the current element survives all collisions, I push it into the stack. This ensures each element is processed only once, giving 0 as order of n time complexity, right? So that is the problem. So thank you for staying till the end, and please like and subscribe my channel. Thank you so much, guys.